Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at MP materials. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the attempt to extend higher into the next wave to the upside. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we have been tracking this idea of a potential larger ABC movement to form to the upside, where in the wave C we would expect to still continue higher. Now keep in mind, since within this wave B correction we have retraced nearly 100%, we have nearly gotten to the beginning of the wave A, it is also applicable, especially on such a large time frame, that we may need to restart the count to start tracking from the very beginning a larger movement to the upside. And especially within such a scenario, a wave C, meaning a 5-wave move to the upside, would not be absolutely needed, meaning that this structure within a simple ABC movement could have an even more significant top than we would necessarily expect within the patterns we are tracking to the upside right now. However, we are still high within the areas of support. In fact, we might have even gotten out of the areas of support. We have pushed above one of them anyway. And there is no reason to look for a complete failure at the moment. I am still looking for continued upside within one of these counts, as long as we hold at least the last levels of support for each respective count. Now, within the white scenario, we are tracking this to be a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and then this would be a third wave up, fourth wave down, and a fifth wave would be expected to emerge. Now, this scenario could actually allow a decently early completion of the wave 4. In this case, I might not even require additional lows, but we are still definitely within a high risk area and resistance is still very much ahead. And then in the yellow interpretation, we are tracking this as a larger ABC within the wave 1, a wave 2 correction down here, and then this would be an ABC movement within the wave 3 expected to form. In the end, in both interpretations, we are tracking an overall diagonal pattern. We are not going to be looking for an impulse. We have actually been looking for an impulse initially before we have formed a top within this structure. Before we failed to create an impulse within this area, we have been tracking just that, the idea that an impulse could still work out. We have even been tracking this as a 1-2 setup initially. But with that said, we can now move into the smaller time frame, where again we have these areas of support that start basically at the $64.5 for the white interpretation and $52.9 for the yellow interpretation, and all the way down to the $26.9 level. That's where the last level of support basically is. That's where I would need to see a break for a signal that this is not really going to work out, most likely within this idea of a larger 5-wave move to the upside. And so far, we have already gotten into each area of support and we are still consolidating at decently high levels. There is no reason to believe we should expect failure. But keep in mind, in the previous video, I provided you this idea of a potential initial 5-wave move to the downside, which is rather suggestive that we should expect continuation after a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance for at least another 5-wave move to the downside. Now, this is not an absolute must, and I'm sure we might be able to even track this structure as something else, something other than even an impulse to the downside, what could realistically work out within this area. But there is certainly a high risk associated with this overall structure, with this overall area, and for this we have the resistance levels between the $65.4 all the way up to the $86.5 level. Now keep in mind, already the first level of resistance, the 38.2% retracement, has provided 3 massive rejections, and even now, latest, we have just formed another push into this level and got rejected once again. Now, within this structure, we have certainly also been tracking more direct continuation to lower prices. In fact, within this area, we were tracking already a wave C to the downside where the wave B would have topped here. But since we managed to break above the resistance levels, of course, that pattern was not going to be a high probability interpretation. And for this structure to have worked, to extend lower, we would have needed to hold at least the top of, or the beginning of, this wave A to the downside part of the larger wave 3. And in this case, we can actually even go ahead and remove these scenarios, as again, we haven't managed to hold the resistance levels. We did manage to break them, and now we are looking for a reset within this wave B, in which I could actually even see a completion be in place. So again, as long as we are holding below the 78.6% retracement at the $86.5 level, there is a strong pressure to continue to lower prices. And within this wave B, I may even be able to consider this a WXY pattern, in which case I have already an ABC movement within this wave Y, in which case the wave B could form a top within a running flat. In such a case, I would not need any additional highs, and I may already be looking internally for a 1-2 setup within this area to continue in to lower prices. Now, this doesn't mean that within this wave B we cannot track continuation higher, but I would have to look for a pretty generic area of support, and as I was saying, we don't have a 5-wave move to the upside within this area. I don't have high confidence that we should expect such a structure to extend higher. And for this, yeah, let's track this actually in green. I will be looking for a potential 1-2 setup, although again, since it is a wave B, I could also see something like a larger A wave to have formed within this area to have an internal wave B, and the C wave to complete the wave B. I would not need the entire 5-wave move to the upside to consider this extension of the wave B complete. I could even consider this wave B already complete. Yeah, whether the wave Y already has formed the top here in an ABC internally, whether the wave Y was just an extension or the initial wave A to the upside and forms a B and a C to form an even larger wave Y, doesn't really matter. A top could be in place, a top could extend, and even a wave C could actually still work out into this area of resistance and not break through. It might still be just a larger ABC movement in the end, but we are using this area of support for a couple of reasons actually. Because here we have support sure between the $59 level all the way down to the $52.8 level to continue higher. But breaking below the 78.6% retracement is also a signal that this structure should be expected with even more likelihood to extend in the wave C to the downside. Now, in terms of resistance, what we could be tracking really within this area isn't anything too specific, as we only have a 3-wave move to the downside. Yeah, I could even track this as an A, B, C, something like this could work out. And to be honest, we may even be able to track this as an initial 5-wave move to the upside, although it is on such a tiny time frame that I would not consider this a very reliable setup. But if we are to continue higher, I would be tracking here an area of support between the $61.5 all the way down to the $60.1 level at the 78.6% retracement. And you know the drill. If we break below the 78.6% retracement, it is a signal that this structure is more likely going to extend lower. Now, I won't be giving you even a more internal area of resistance or support, but I will be tracking a larger one, yeah, a slightly larger one, where I could be looking for resistance instead at the levels between the $61.6 all the way up to the $64 level, and the break above this could signal that this may be more prepared to extend higher, although keep in mind within this pattern we have not gotten yet into the area of support. Now, other patterns could emerge, other structures could work out even within this area. We may actually still need an extension higher. This might have worked out as an A, B, C, where in the wave C we have a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th. It could work out like this, but I won't be going through such a pattern. I won't be tracking such a tiny time frame because of how unreliable they are, and I don't believe you should be looking for trade setups within this area anyway, especially within a larger potential ending diagonal in a wave C. Yeah, if this forms something like a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th, do you really want to risk a position for the potential additional high within a 5th wave, where afterwards continuation in a larger correction that would be very easily even larger than the 5th wave itself could appear? Well, I can't decide for you, but I don't necessarily consider that as an important scenario, an important pattern we should track. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.